My daddy chose his new wife. Let her call my kids a burden while living in the $300,000 house I paid for, so I taught them a lesson they'll never forget. I'm 32, male, a single dad with two awesome kids, my daughter Clara, 9, and my little dude Jake, 6. I've been doing this solo thing for about 3 years since my ex bailed on us. Not going to lie, it's been rough as hell sometimes, but we've got a good system now. I work my ass off at the office, so I can be fully present when I'm home with them. We were doing pretty damn good. Not perfect, but solid. Then last month happened, and everything went to absolute chaos. It started with this weird pain in my side while I was making dinner. It wasn't terrible, just annoying enough that I popped some Advil and ignored it. By 3 in the morning I was curled up on the bathroom floor, sweating bullets. The pain was like someone stabbing me repeatedly with a hot knife. I knew something was seriously wrong but kept thinking, it'll pass. It has to pass. I've got the kids in the morning. When I couldn't even stand up straight by 6 in the morning, I had to face facts. I called my neighbor to watch the kids while I ran to urgent care real quick, and I drove myself there. The doctor took one look at me and his face changed. You need emergency surgery now. Your appendix is about to rupture, if it hasn't already. They were prepping me for transport to the hospital within minutes. That's when the real panic set in. Not about the surgery, but about my kids. My neighbor couldn't keep them beyond that afternoon, and my usual backup sitter was visiting family out of state. None of my friends could take them on zero notice for multiple days. I was running out of options fast, lying on a gurney with an 4 in my arm and pain meds making it hard to think straight. With no options left, I called my sister Macy. I hated doing it but had no choice. We've always had this complicated relationship. She's my dad's golden child who can do no wrong, especially since my stepmom Karen entered the picture 8 years ago. See, my mom died when I was 19, cancer. Dad remarried Karen just 18 months later. I was still in college, working 2 jobs, barely hanging on emotionally, and suddenly this stranger was redecorating my mom's house and telling me how to grieve appropriately. Karen had strong opinions about how a real man should behave, crying at mom's favorite song, weak, missing classes for therapy, lazy excuse. Meanwhile, Macy adapted perfectly, bonded with Karen instantly over shopping and social media. Suddenly they were beasties while I was the outsider who made things awkward at family gatherings. Still, Macy seemed to love my kids though, at least when it was convenient for her Instagram aesthetic. She was always asking to take them to cute places for photo ops, buying them trendy outfits that matched hers, posting about being the cool aunt. It was superficial as hell but the kids enjoyed the attention and I figured some fake love was better than none. Hey, I hate to ask but I'm in a serious bind, I explained, trying to sound normal despite feeling like death. I need emergency surgery. Could you possibly watch Clara and Jake for a few days? Doc says I should be out by the weekend. She sighed like I'd asked her to donate a kidney. I had plans this weekend, Matt, important plans. I could hear her fake nails tapping against her phone screen. Macy, I literally need emergency surgery. My appendix. Fine, whatever. She cut me off. But you owe me big time and you better have food in the house because I'm not exactly the compassionate response you'd hope for, but when you're being wheeled into emergency surgery, you take what you can get. I made arrangements through a fog of pain. The hospital called my buddy Dave to grab the kids from my neighbors and drop them at my place, where Macy would meet them. I left a detailed note on the kitchen counter with everything she'd need. Jake's allergy meds, Clara's school project, the extra key, emergency contacts, bedtime routines, everything. The surgery itself went fine, standard appendectomy, should have been in and out in 2 to 3 days max, but then I got this nasty post-surgical infection that jacked my fever to 104 degrees. They kept me heavily medicated and isolated. I was barely conscious for 2 days. When I finally came around enough to check my phone, I had some miss you texts from the kids that Macy had sent but nothing concerning. I figured everything was cool. When Dave picked me up 5 days later, things got weird fast. He told me Macy wasn't at my place, just my teenage nephew Tyler babysitting. What do you mean Tyler's babysitting? I asked, trying to focus through the pain meds still in my system. Where's Macy? Dave shifted uncomfortably. Dude, I don't know. The kid answered the door, looking half asleep, and said Macy asked him to check on them while she was handling something important. My stomach dropped. How long has he been there? He said he's been coming by after school but man, he doesn't seem like he's staying overnight. I told Dave to step on it. Every stoplight felt like an eternity. My house looked like a war zone. Trash everywhere, dishes piled up, mail scattered all over. The kids were worse. Jake was burning up with fever. Clara looked like she hadn't slept in days. When she saw me, Clara burst into tears and just clung to me despite my surgical incision. Jake was curled up on the couch, wrapped in a dirty blanket, glassy-eyed and miserable. Daddy, Jake got scared and sick, Clara whispered. I tried to help him like you do when we're sick. Tyler, my 16-year-old nephew, had the decency to look ashamed. Sorry, Uncle Matt. Aunt Macy said she'd be right back, but then she called and said she had to go to Florida for some influencer thing. I've been coming after school, but Mom doesn't know I've been here, so I couldn't stay overnight. I was still processing this when Jake lurched off the couch and vomited all over the floor. His little body was burning up. Had to be 102 degrees at least. When I got him cleaned up, I noticed the rash on his arms. His strawberry allergy. The kid can't even have strawberry-flavored anything without breaking out, and it was listed right at the top of the care instructions I'd left. Clara, my 9-year-old baby girl, had been forced to care for Jake by herself, climbing counters to get medicine and dosing him randomly. Even the dog was dehydrated. I sent Jake to urgent care with Dave while I helped Clara. When I called Macy, she was partying and completely dismissive. The kids are fine. They're alive, aren't they? Stop being dramatic, she said, bragging about gaining Instagram followers. This trip is super important for my career. I threatened to call CPS on her, but she just laughed. Dad would never forgive you. How would that look for you? Can't even arrange proper childcare. Dad was even worse when I called him. You're overreacting. Your sister is pursuing her dreams, he said. Boys need to toughen up anyway. When you were 6, I was already teaching you to mow the lawn. Kids today are too soft. When I mentioned Jake could have had anaphylactic shock, he brushed it off. Well, he didn't, did he? The conversation ended with him attacking me. You've always been too sensitive, not like your sister. Maybe if you'd made something of yourself instead of playing house, you wouldn't need to drag Macy down. She's always been special, unlike some people who couldn't even keep their marriage together. That was it. Something in me snapped. These weren't family, just people with my DNA who throw my kids under the bus for Macy's follower count. I didn't report them, but only because my kids had been through enough trauma already from the divorce mess. I went completely cold, stopped answering calls, deleted texts, skipped family dinners, no arguments, just silence. I focused entirely on my kids while they kept sending guilt trips about family obligations. But that was just the beginning. I had no clue how bad it would get. Fast forward a few weeks. Easter was coming up, a big deal in our family, with my dad's side all getting together at the family home. The house I own, by the way. Yeah, that's an important detail. After my mom died, I bought the family house from her estate so Dad could keep living there. He couldn't afford to buy out my half of the inheritance, and I couldn't bear the thought of him having to move out of the home they'd shared for 25 years. So I got a mortgage in my name and bought the place, letting him stay there for way below market rent because, well, he's my dad. But looking back, it was clear Dad's toxic behavior had deep roots. When Mom died, something in him broke permanently. Instead of dealing with his grief, he latched onto Macy as his golden ticket, the perfect daughter who'd fulfill all the dreams he'd failed to achieve himself. Karen only amplified this dynamic. Seeing me as competition for Dad's attention and resources over the years, Dad's resentment toward me grew, especially after I became successful enough to buy Mom's house, a constant reminder that I, not he, was preserving Mom's legacy. He couldn't stand that his disappointment son was financially supporting him while his special daughter contributed nothing. So he immediately let Macy move back in temporarily after college. Then Karen started redecorating, tearing out Mom's garden to put in a hot tub, painting over the height marks on the kitchen doorframe where Mom had tracked my growth. When I objected, Dad said I was being stuck in the past and needed to let Karen make the house her own. It was never about preserving Mom's memory for him. It was about his own comfort and convenience. And for 8 years I'd been subsidizing his lifestyle. Macy's perpetual finding herself phases, and Karen's redecorating whims. Meanwhile, I was busting my ass raising 2 kids alone in a cramped apartment because I couldn't afford a house for us after taking on the mortgage for the family home. Anyway, a couple of days before Easter, as I was getting the kids' Easter outfits ready, my phone buzzed with a text. Hey, I know you're still upset about what happened, but we want to put it behind us. Easter dinner at 3 on Sunday. The whole family will be there. Time to heal and move forward. This surprised me. Not the manipulation, that was standard, but the attempt to make amends without actually apologizing. I knew what was happening. They were terrified I'd cut them off completely, which would mean no more below market rent, no more bailing Macy out of financial disasters, no more free babysitting like I'd ever trust them again, no more Matt the blank check. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. Hey Matt, it's Uncle Rob. Just checking in on you and the kids, haven't heard from you in a while. Uncle Rob was always the real one in the family. When my ex left, he was the only one who actually showed up, brought groceries, watched the kids so I could sort out legal stuff, just sat with me when I needed to not be alone. While my dad was telling me to man up, Rob was helping me figure out how to braid Clara's hair. I filled him in on what happened with the surgery and Macy bailing on the kids. He was livid. Are you serious? They left a 9-year-old watching a 6-year-old overnight? That's not just shitty, Matt, that's dangerous. And your dad defended this? Yep. Golden child can do no wrong, I said. I'm done with them, Rob. Just completely done. He was annoyed. Did they at least apologize? Try to make it right? I laughed. Yeah, they invited me to Easter dinner, said it's time to heal and move forward. No actual apology, no acknowledgement they fucked up, just sweep it under the rug and pretend it never happened. Uncle Rob sighed. Classic. You going? Hell no. My kids aren't setting foot in that house again. Can't say I blame you, but fair warning, they'll spin this as you being the asshole. You know how they operate. Let 'em. I'm past caring what they think. I texted Dad back, not coming. After what Macy did to my kids and how you defended her, I don't think it's a good idea. The response came immediately. Don't be so dramatic. Your sister made a mistake. Get over it. Everyone's expecting you. Don't embarrass me. I laughed out loud at that one. So predictable. I told him it's not happening. That's when the gloves came off. He replied, fine, stay home then. Nobody wants to deal with your attitude anyway. Probably better without you there, bringing everyone down. None of the relatives even asked if you're coming. Nobody cares about you or your stupid kids. Mask off. This is who they really were. I should have cut them off years ago. I was about to throw my phone across the room when another text came through from my cousin Zoe. Dude, are you really not coming to Easter? Your dad's telling everyone you have to work, and your sister's talking about how you can't handle being around successful people now. WTF is going on? Zoe's always been the family gossip pipeline, but for once, I was glad for it. I gave her the quick version of what went down. Holy shit, she texted back. That's messed up, but for your information they're spinning this like you're the asshole who's bailing on family. Karen's telling everyone you've been unstable since the divorce. Let them talk, I replied. I know the truth. Just thought you should know, Zoe added. Also heads up, Macy's planning to live stream the whole Easter thing for her Instagram. She's trying to become an influencer or some shit. Keeps talking about her brand and content creation. That gave me an idea. I asked Zoe to keep an eye on Macy's live stream on Sunday, just to see what kind of nonsense they'd try to spin. She was all in. They thought they were safe, that I'd never pull the plug, never reclaim what was mine. But the truth is, everything they were using to prop up their little fantasy, the house, the internet, the phones, the damn cable, all of it was me. I built the ground they were standing on, and I could pull it out from under them anytime I wanted. That night I made plans with the kids to skip the family disaster and see a movie instead. While they were playing I made a few moves of my own. I called Uncle Rob, asked if he was going to Easter at Dad's. He said he was. I told him he might want to bring up what actually happened while I was in the hospital, right there in front of everyone. He was curious, so I gave him the short version they were telling everyone I was working overtime. When the truth was, Dad told me not to come because apparently no one cared about me or my stupid kids. Rob went quiet. That particular silence from him, that's his version of loading ammo. What I told him was enough to make him furious. I didn't even mention the house. I figured they'd find that out the hard way. After that I pulled up every shared account they were mooching off. The family phone plan, still under my name. The internet and cable they couldn't survive a single evening without, also mine. Macy's good, student car insurance discount. Hilarious, considering she hadn't opened a textbook in a decade. Tied to my policy, all their precious streaming services, still running on my cards because setting up their own was apparently rocket science. They wanted to pretend I didn't exist? I was about to grant them that wish. I made a note to cancel everything Monday morning after Easter, after the live stream Macy had planned. I wanted their fears to come true. I also started digging through old financial records, found all the loans I'd given Macy that were never repaid, the emergencies that always seemed to coincide with festival ticket sales, the time Dad's car broke down and I paid for repairs, only to see Karen driving a new car a month later while the broken one was magically fixed, and now Macy's. I'd been their personal bank for years and I'd kept meticulous records, a habit from when money was tight after the divorce. Over $15,000, that was the total they'd mooched off me over the last 3 years alone, not counting the subsidized rent or shared accounts. I sent all this info to my lawyer with a simple question: what are my options here? His response was immediate: more than you'd think. Let's talk Monday. I felt a weird calm settle over me. This wasn't about revenge, not really. It was about finally seeing clearly, about valuing myself and my kids enough to stop accepting scraps of affection in exchange for financial support, about recognizing that people who would leave my children alone and endangered weren't family in any way that mattered. And I knew I should have done this move sooner, but I gave them a chance, and they didn't take it. Sunday morning Clara found me making breakfast and asked, "Aren't we going to Grandpa's for Easter?" "Not this year, kiddo. I thought we'd try something different. Movie and then the park." She looked thoughtful. "Is it because Aunt Macy was mean to us? Kids always see more than we think. Partly and partly because I think we need a break from that side of the family for a while. Good, she said firmly. Aunt Macy took my purple jacket and never gave it back, and she made Jake eat the strawberry candy even though you told her he's allergic. I froze. She what? She said he was faking about being allergic for attention, that he just wanted to be special. Clara's voice was matter of fact, like this was perfectly normal behavior. I tried to stop him, but she said I was being a baby. My mind started racing. Macy had deliberately given my allergic son something that could have killed him because she thought he was faking. Am I in trouble? Clara asked in a small voice. I immediately knelt down to her level. Absolutely not. You did the right thing telling me. You're never in trouble for telling the truth, especially when it's about someone hurting you or your brother. Then she said something that broke my heart. Aunt Macy said Grandma liked people who kept family secrets, that good girls don't tell on family members. I saw red. They'd been manipulating my daughter, using my dead mother's memory to silence her. I pulled Clara into a hug, careful to keep my voice gentle. Your grandma would never, ever want you to keep a secret that made you feel bad or unsafe. Never. And neither do I. Then I took the kids to see that new Pixar movie, then for ice cream. We had a blast, just us, enjoying ourselves, while I knew everything was about to blow up at the family house. Around 6 in the evening, my phone started blowing up. First, Zoe OMG, check Macy's Instagram right now, followed by about 20 exclamation points. Then messages from Alex, Denise, and other relatives. What the hell is happening at your dad's? Did you see Macy's live stream? Dude, it's a total shit show over there. I waited until the kids were in bed before checking anything. When I finally looked at my phone, I had like 30 messages waiting. Zoe had sent me a screen recording of Macy's Instagram live, and holy shit, it was glorious. It started normally enough, everyone dressed up, Karen showing off her Easter decorations in my house, Macy playing the perfect daughter and filming everything for her Easter content, Dad acting like the generous host. Then about 20 minutes and Uncle Rob stood up, looked directly at Dad and said, "It's a shame Matt and the kids couldn't be here." But after what happened with the kids, I don't blame him for staying away. The room went dead silent. Dad laughed nervously and mumbled something about, "Matt's always been difficult and some people can't let things go." Rob wasn't having it. He told everyone exactly what happened, how Macy left my kids alone, how they'd been uninvited from Easter, how they'd been lying about why I wasn't there. You could literally see people's faces changing as they realized what was happening. And Macy, the freaking idiot, kept the live stream going through the whole thing. My cousin Zoe, who's usually super quiet, asked Macy directly, "You left a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old alone overnight multiple times?" Macy started the waterworks. Fake as hell. Oh my god, why is everyone attacking me? They were fine. Tyler was there. Matt is just being controlling because he's jealous that I'm finally doing something with my life instead of being boring. You stole a child's jacket, Anthony said flatly, for Instagram photos. I didn't steal it, Macy snapped. I borrowed it. It looked better on me anyway. Clara doesn't even care about fashion. Uncle Dave, who's a pediatrician, stood up and said, "That's child endangerment, plain and simple. If a patient told me this story, I'd be legally required to report it." Oh please, Macy rolled her eyes. It's not like they're babies. When I was 9, I was way more mature than Clara. From there, it was total chaos. Zoe filled me in on the rest. Some people stormed out. Others took sides. Mostly older relatives who still believe that family is family no matter what stood with my dad, while the younger ones and those with kids were firmly on my side. It wasn't a clean split, about half and half, but enough people saw through the bullshit that they couldn't just sweep it under the rug anymore. Fortunately, Macy forgot to stop recording when she stormed upstairs. The livestream caught her coming back down with armfuls of Clara's clothes she'd been borrowing, and my mom's jewelry box I'd been looking for since the move. She tried to walk out with it all until Dave blocked the door. "Those aren't yours," he said. "Yes they are," she screamed. "I deserve them. I've been stuck in this stupid house while Matt gets to have his own place and do whatever he wants." That's when Zoe dropped the bomb. "This is Matt's house. He owns it." The room went silent again. Several relatives turned to Dad and Karen. "Is that true?" Uncle Rob asked. Dad turned red. "It's complicated," he muttered. "It's not complicated," Zoe continued. "Matt bought this house from his mom's estate. You guys are living here because he lets you." Watching them fumble to explain away the truth, that sealed it. There was no fixing this. No talk, no text, no amount of guilt tripping was going to undo what they showed the whole world. By the time the live stream ended, the dinner was completely wrecked. Half the family had left early. The ones who stayed did it out of politeness, not because they were on Dad's side. And through it all, Macy's 2,000 followers watched the entire meltdown in real time. The comments were brutal. The next morning my phone blew up again. Calls from Macy, texts from Karen, angry voicemails from Dad. I didn't answer any of them, but I did read the text from Macy. Thanks for ruining my Easter content. I had a brand deal lined up that required family footage. You owe me $3,000 for lost income. I almost choked on my coffee. The effing nerve of these people. Then I made the mistake of listening to one of Dad's voicemails, and suddenly everything snapped into focus. So this is your revenge, huh? He spat. You've always resented me for staying in that house. Don't act like you bought it to help, you just wanted control. You never respected me. You never respected Karen. You've been waiting for a moment like this to rub it in my face like some little punk with a superiority complex. I built that home. You just signed some papers. You're nothing, and you'll stay nothing. And if you think you're kicking us out, you better be ready for what that means. Ah, there it was, all the years of passive aggression, all the simmering resentment finally boiling over. He didn't say thank you for subsidizing his life, didn't ask why his grandchildren had been left sick and neglected. Nope, just pure, unfiltered bitterness that I owned the house and he didn't. And in his mind, that made me the enemy. That voicemail didn't piss me off, it clarified everything. He didn't see me as a son, he saw me as a threat, as an obstacle, and he thought I wouldn't push back. Instead of responding to them, I logged into all my accounts and canceled every single service, subscription, and benefit that I'd been providing them. Their phones, internet, streaming services, insurance, everything. Cut it all off without warning. Then I called my lawyer and asked him what I needed to do to legally evict them from my house. He said it would take 30 to 60 days depending on local laws, but I could start immediately. I had him draw up the papers that day. When they were ready, I delivered them personally. I showed up at the house, unannounced. Dad opened the door, and the look on his face when he saw me standing there with an envelope, priceless. He thought I was there to apologize. The way his expression changed when I handed him the eviction notice almost made it all worth it. You have 60 days, I said. Find somewhere else to live. He started ranting about how I couldn't do this, how it was his home, too, how I was being cruel. Karen came running and started the waterworks when she read the notice. Where are we supposed to go? She wailed. This is our home. No, I said. It's my house that I've let you live in for next to nothing. Find an apartment. Macy appeared behind them, phone in hand, obviously recording. This is harassment, she shouted, shoving her phone in my face. I'm documenting all of this. My followers will see what kind of person you really are. I looked directly into her camera and said calmly, your followers already saw what kind of person you are when you live streamed yourself saying you deserve to steal from a 9-year-old girl. Her face went white. She hadn't realized the live stream caught all that. By the way, I added, I canceled all your phones, internet, and Macy's car insurance this morning. You've got about, I checked my watch, 2 hours of data left before it cuts off. Enjoy. I didn't argue further, just said, 60 days, not a day more, and walked away. The next couple of weeks were non-stop drama. Texts and calls from random numbers kept coming. We're family. You can't do this. Where are we supposed to go? Your mother would be ashamed of you. We'll pay more rent. Macy's having panic attacks because of this. I've been canceled online because of you. My followers are sending me hate because of what you did. I blocked every new number, had all their mail forwarded to a P.O. box, and told my lawyer to handle everything. Dad tried setting up a family intervention through Uncle Dave, who politely declined to participate. Matt's not the one who needs intervention, he told Dad. He's protecting his kids, which is exactly what a good father should do. They tried getting other family members to talk to me, but that failed spectacularly for most of them. Uncle Rob told Dad, you made your bed, now lie in it. Some relatives took their side, saying I was being too harsh, especially to my dad, but most of the ones who mattered understood exactly why I was done with their bullshit. My dad's sister, Aunt Martha, showed up at my door one afternoon, Bible in hand. Matthew, this has gone on long enough. Your father is devastated. You need to forgive and forget. The Bible says, did Dad tell you he called my kids stupid and said no one cared about them? Did he mention that part? She hesitated. Well, he was upset. Yeah, I was upset too when my sister abandoned my children, and they got sick. Funny how my being upset doesn't excuse anything, but his being upset excuses everything. But he's your father. And I'm Clara and Jake's father. Which relationship do you think matters more to me? That shut her up pretty quick. She left with some comment about how I'd regret this someday, but I was past caring. Some bridges need to be burned. Karen tried a different approach, showing up at my office unannounced, causing a scene in the lobby until security escorted her out. She sent a group email to my entire extended family, detailing all the ways I'd abandoned my father since my mother died, conveniently omitting the fact that I'd been paying his bills the entire time. Even when they finally realized I was serious, they still couldn't take responsibility. It was always someone else's fault, always some excuse, Always some reason why they were the real victims. They were out in 45 days, found an apartment across town. I had the locks changed the same day they left. I walked through the trashed house they'd left behind and felt nothing but relief. This house that had been a source of so much stress was just a house again. My house. The kitchen looked like a bomb had gone off. They'd taken all the appliances that they'd paid for, narrator they hadn't, leaving gaping holes where the microwave and dishwasher used to be. The backyard was littered with broken furniture and random trash they couldn't be bothered to take or throw away properly. Standing there, looking at the mess they'd made of the home my mom had lovingly maintained for decades, I felt oddly at peace. This was who they were. Destructive, selfish, petty. And now they were gone. I spent the next week cleaning, repainting, fixing all the shit they'd broken or neglected. I got rid of the furniture that held too many bad memories and made it new again. The kids and I went shopping for new stuff, letting them pick out colors and decorations for their new rooms. Jake wanted a space theme. Clara went for butterflies and books. For the first time, this house would reflect us, not the ghosts of my past. Neighbors stopped by, curious about the sudden exodus of my family and the flurry of renovation activity. Most hadn't even known I owned the place. Always thought it was your dad's house, Mrs. Wilson said, bringing over a casserole. Never understood why such a successful young man like you was living in that tiny apartment when your sister was living here rent-free. Word got around the neighborhood quickly. People started sharing stories about Macy's entitled behavior, parking across driveways, letting her dog shit on lawns without cleaning up, throwing loud parties on weeknights. Turned out my family had been awful neighbors too. The kids and I moved in the following month. Clara was psyched about having a bigger room. Jake went nuts over the backyard. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. I didn't hear from any of them for almost 2 months. The silence was glorious. Then, one Tuesday afternoon, I got a call from Uncle Rob. "Matt, your dad's in the hospital. Heart attack." "It's pretty serious." I didn't know what to feel. Part of me wanted to say, "Not my problem," and hang up. But another part, the part that remembered fishing trips when I was Jake's age, the dad who taught me to ride a bike before everything went to shit, that part felt something. "Is he going to make it?" I asked. "They think so, but it was close. He's asking for you." I told Rob I'd think about it, hung up, and sat there for a long time, just thinking. I didn't go that day or the next, but on the third day, after dropping the kids at school, I found myself driving to the hospital. Dad looked small in that hospital bed, tubes everywhere, skin a grayish color. For a second, I almost turned around and walked out. Then he opened his eyes and saw me. "Matt," he said, voice barely a whisper, "didn't think you'd come." "Neither did I answered. We sat in silence for a while. Then, surprising both of us, he said, "I screwed up. With you, with the kids, with everything." I didn't respond, wasn't gonna make this easy for him. "Macy was wrong," he continued. "What she did, leaving the kids, it was wrong. And I was wrong to defend her." I studied his face, looking for the manipulation, the angle, but all I saw was an old man facing his mortality. "Karen left," he said, "took most of what we had, couldn't handle the apartment after having the house. Macy moved in with her boyfriend, hardly see her anymore." "Let me guess," I said. "Boyfriend's a photographer who's helping with her influencer career?" He gave a weak laugh. "Something like that. Turns out her following wasn't as valuable as she thought. Boyfriend's already talking about someone with more reach, whatever that means." I still didn't say much. "I'm not asking for anything," he said. "Not forgiveness, not money, not to come back. Just wanted to say it before I can't anymore." I nodded, stood up. "Get some rest," I said, and walked out. I didn't feel the closure I expected, didn't feel the satisfaction or vindication, just felt done, like the last page of a shitty book I'd been forced to read for years had finally been turned. I didn't visit again but did send flowers when he was released, not out of obligation, just because it felt like the right thing to do. A couple of weeks after Dad got out of the hospital, I sent him a message, just one line. "You don't owe me anything, we're good." Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, and it sure as hell doesn't mean rebuilding burned bridges, but I already took back everything that was mine. The house, my peace, my dignity. I didn't need revenge anymore, I already won. Then, like clockwork, Macy reached out, said she was between gigs and needed help covering rent, claimed she was manifesting a fresh start and just needed a little boost. I replied, "Try manifesting a real job," then blocked her number and moved on, simple as that. And yeah, me and the kids are good. Actually, we're better than good. The house is ours now. Peace is ours. And for the first time in a long time, so is the quiet.